Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about relationship repair tips. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm super happy to have you here. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our weekly videos on mental health related topics and helpful coping skills for you to apply in your own everyday lives. My name is Gabriel Arroyo and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist located in Southern California. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about relationship repair tips. So it's just going to be a general concept. And then in other videos, we're going to be talking about specific types of relationships and how to get more details and more involved on repairing a specific type of relationship. So in this one, we're just talking about general relationships and how to repair them. So, relationships are a very difficult thing to maintain. People's feelings get hurt. That we change opinions, we change the way we think, the way we respond, the way we act. Sometimes we have bad days, or sometimes other people have bad days, and they respond to us, and it violates something, and then we start growing this distance, and then we have that what I like to call a bad word in therapy: resentment. It's a very, very bad word to me, and it's quite difficult to overcome. And I see this a lot in my professional experience. I see this with a lot of my clients' relationships, and even in my own personal relationships, I see those wedges getting built, and just distance over time just continues to grow, and people just don't have the skills or don't know what to do or how to repair it, but they have the longing to, and they just don't know how to start. So here's a few tips, 3 tips to be in fact, on how to repair relationships. The first one is, yes, I know there's that saying, communication is a two-way street, right? So I hear this so many times that I ask clients, well, what steps have you taken? Or what are you doing to repair or mend the relationship? And I constantly hear, well, they haven't reached out to me, so apparently they don't want to. Okay, I understand. That makes sense to me, right? But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your actions. And if this is a relationship that you want and you want to repair, you have to hold yourself accountable to taking those actions. So yes, communication is a two-way street, but what are you doing, right? You can't just put everything on the other person. Even if they're right or wrong or whatever, however we view it, you have to ask yourself that question: what am I able to do in order to repair this? What am I willing to do? And what am I going to do in order to repair this? So that's tip 1. You have to take some accountability and take some action for the relationship that you want to have with whoever this person is. Tip number 2 is be honest. Be honest about everything. Be honest to yourself about what happened in this relationship, what role you played with this relationship, spreading apart and dissolving, what role you will be playing as far as repairing the relationship, what you want from the relationship, and then when you ultimately go to repair that relationship, be honest with that person of, hey, this is what happened in my perspective. X, Y, or Z happened. I felt that, you didn't do X, Y, or Z, or you did X, Y, or Z, and I felt that I didn't do X, Y, or Z because of this circumstance, and this is how I feel, but this is what I want. So being honest with every element about the relationship. So we're taking that step, right? And once again, communication is a two-way street, meaning what are you doing for that communication and taking that step to repair that relationship? And then 2, being honest about everything. And then the third tip is sometimes relationships are more important than being right. So I'm gonna say what I mean about that. The relationship is more important than being right. So no matter what the case may be of why this distance has grown, why this resentment has grown, and why there's some sort of discord in the relationship, and there's anger, animosity, hurt feelings, whatever the case may be, even if that other person has wronged you, we have to go back to the basics. Two-way street, right? Communication, and then being honest about what we want. And if that want is to have a relationship with that person, sometimes the relationship is more important than being right. So we have to look at that, and we have to decide and be honest with ourselves. Am I willing to forgive and forget this in order to make the steps to repair the relationship? Because some situations, some dynamics, even if we're in the right, we set a boundary, we told this person, hey, you can't do this, and they continue to do X, Y, or Z, I'm in no way saying, hey, just fall on your boundaries and let people just get away with things. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. I encourage all my clients, even myself, to hold boundaries. I'm actually in kind of a dynamic right now where I'm holding a boundary, and I have to ask myself, right, is the relationship more important than being right? Right? So we have to ask that and identify what it is that we truly want, because at some point we have to figure out, like, okay, well, they're definitely not going to learn the lesson about my boundaries if there's no relationship, right? If I just ghost people, I'm like, okay, you violated my boundaries too many times, you're done, right? and I just disappear, and I'm just not associating with them, and I have no relationship. Well, there's no more opportunity for people to learn the boundaries, right? It just doesn't exist anymore. And now I know that has to happen sometimes. In some relationships, that has to happen, right? If it's a very toxic and hurtful relationship, by all means, more power to you. Hold those boundaries and don't allow people to hurt you. But if you identify, like, hey, this is something I really want, and yeah, they violated a boundary, but it is something I could forgive, and it is something I want to teach and help to improve the relationship. Well, you have to have a relationship in order to improve it, right? So we can't just ghost people. So we have to identify what our want is. And that's why I say sometimes the relationship is more important than being right. So we take those steps and we approach that situation, we approach that person, we identify what we want, we be honest with them and ourselves and say, hey, this is what hurt me. You violated a boundary, but I care about you and I really want this relationship to work. So let's make amends, right? Now we have a relationship, at least some sort of foundation, and then we could revisit. Be like, hey, this is the boundary that got us to this point. This was the violation that got us to this point, and I want to work on that. So I know that's a difficult concept because, this is one of the biggest things that I hear about in relationships is that balance, right? Especially when it comes to like significant others, best friends, and intimate relationships. I'm like, okay, well, they violated that boundary, which is a core value for us, right? So how do we balance? Like, well, do I uphold the boundary or do I uphold the relationship? And that's a case-by-case situation, and it's up to you of, once again, how strong that boundary was or how important that boundary was to you. And sometimes the relationship is more important than being right. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to comment below. I know these are quite advanced concepts, and once again, we're gonna have more videos going more in depth of how you can apply these concepts into very specific types of relationships. So if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll do my best to answer it. I also have some recommended books and some other materials that'll be helpful with these concepts in repairing relationships. There's a book and flashcards that I use a lot in couples counseling. It's called Talk to Me Like I'm Someone You Love. Amazing, helpful, just quick flashcards of things to say, because we don't always have the right words. We know what we mean, and we want to de-escalate situations and we want to repair situations, but sometimes it's not said. the way we mean it, or sometimes it's not interpreted the way we mean it. So I love using these flashcards. I use it in my own relationship, and I recommend it in all couples counseling that I practice with. So there's going to be a link below. So if you want to check it out, please do. I find it very helpful in my own relationship and in all the couples that I work with. So check it out. It's called Talk to Me Like I'm Someone You Love. Once again, any questions, please feel free to comment below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our weekly videos on mental health related topics and helpful coping skills for you to apply in your own everyday lives. Thank you.